What's up everyone, Master King JC here. This is going to be a video response to my man UberHikari, who made a long ass video. 1 hour, a 1 hour video talking about characterization and One Piece. I mean, I gotta give props to UberHikari, man. The fact that he could stand in front of that camera and, go on talking for about an hour is amazing. I mean, I could barely keep on talking for like 20 minutes. I mean, that's really something else, man. I gotta give him props on that. Now, he made a really good video. I agree with most of the points he said in that video. Although there's a little bit of things that I think he might have missed or he might have forgotten about concerning One Piece. Now, he said he only read like the first 50 volumes of One Piece. And 50 volumes is a lot, alright? Now, you can't remember, like, every little thing in 50 volumes. So, I think he might have forgotten some things. So, I happened to, take some notes after watching the video. And, these are the things he went over. World building. Yeah, Oda is really good at world building. When it comes to world building, it's just amazing. I mean, I don't think there's any other series out there. I mean, there probably is, but there probably isn't any shonen and Wiki Shonen Jump that reaches the level of world building that Oda has created with One Piece. I mean, the world building is just huge. It's a huge world, so huge. He mentioned the overriding themes. Friendship, Nakama. There are a couple other themes in there, like corruption, censorship, freedom, dreams, treasure, all that stuff. But friendship and Nakama is pretty much like the big main themes of One Piece. Then he went on a little bit of a tangent, going on about the study of literature, characterization, complexity, all this stuff, man. It felt like I was in English class, all right? No offense to you, UberHikari. That was really great, but I almost fell asleep. I'm sorry, I almost fell asleep, man. It was too long, man. I mean, that whole talk about characterization and this character needs to be like this. It was good, but it kind of went a little bit too long. You know what I'm saying? So yeah. On to Luffy. You said some stuff about Luffy in here that I want to go over real fast. So yeah. You said Luffy has no internal characterization, no psychological complexity, no ethical complexity, no introspection and internal dialogue, and he doesn't reflect on his actions or his situation. Now, the internal characterization thing. Luffy does have he has some internal characterization, but most of that is when he's talking to like himself. And Luffy, no, not Luffy, Oda, he mentioned this in like an SBS one time where he said that he intentionally doesn't have Luffy, he doesn't give Luffy any thought bubbles. When it comes to actions and stuff, Luffy is a man, he wants Luffy to be a man of action. He doesn't want Luffy to think or, have any thought bubbles when he's like in a current situation, which is why he always talks to himself or he talks out loud or something. So that right there is pretty much, Oda's fault right there. So that's Oda right there. No psychological complexity. Yeah, I'm going to go with that. Luffy, no psychological complexity whatsoever. None. No ethical complexity. Now that right there, that's kind of an oddball right there. Luffy, this is one situation Luffy has. He does not kill any of the villains he fights. He didn't kill Arlong. He didn't kill Don Krieg. He didn't kill Crocodile. He didn't kill Eneru. Luffy, he does not kill his foes. He does not kill any of the villains he fights against. Now that right there is a little bit of ethical complexity, because I know there's a lot of shonen protagonists that killed any villain they fight against. Goku, for example, kills, there's a whole bunch of characters that do that. But Luffy, he does not kill any of these villains. So that has some morals right there. Luffy does have some morals right there when it comes to that situation and the fact that he doesn't kill any of these villains. No matter what kind of evil they've done, no matter how crooked and despicable they are. He did not kill any of them. So that right there is a little bit of, it's not like really complex, but it's some kind of ethical complexity right there. And also the fact, that he doesn't like get himself involved with like other people's fights. Well, actually, that's not really a good reason. No. I take that back. Take that back. Never mind. Scratch that. Scratch that. Well, so no introspection, and that's the internal characterization thing I just mentioned. So yeah. Next, he doesn't reflect on his actions or his situations. Now that right there, Luffy has reflected on his actions a couple of times, while he hasn't had like some big, world-changing epiphany that happens later on. All right, you're at volume 50. Later on, Luffy's gonna have a big epiphany later on in the series. I'm not gonna spoil that, so that's gonna happen. But Luffy does reflect on his actions a lot. Like the situation with Shanks, where Shanks, lost his arm protecting Luffy. Luffy, he realized that he was not strong enough to be a pirate yet. That Shanks, he sacrificed himself for Luffy. I mean, he realized, the dangers of the sea. He wasn't, he was still young. He wasn't mature enough to realize the situation that the sea had in store. Laboon, for example, Laboon was pretty much, he was bashing his head against the red line, trying to break through it, which is, crazy because, his crew had supposedly abandoned him. They had abandoned him, and he had nothing else to do. I mean, he was trying to find them. He had no hope left. He didn't want to listen to reason or anything. Now, Luffy, he fought Laboon. He gave Laboon a reason to not, kill himself. Basically, he said, hey, when I come back here, you and me are going to have a rematch, so don't go bashing your head against, the wall. And he pastes on, the straw hat symbol on his head. No, that's a little bit right there of reflection of the situation. He does that sometimes, but that's a little thing right there. The whole situation with Vivi in Alabasta. Now, you remember this. Luffy said that, Vivi was trying to go stop the rebellion in Alabasta. While Luffy told Vivi, hey, we can't stop the rebellion. People are going to die. What we need to focus on is stopping Crocodile. Because Luffy knew that they could not stop the rebellion. The rebellion was going to happen whether or not they got there in time or not. Because the main focus of the whole Alabasta situation was Crocodile. If they didn't stop Crocodile, the whole tension between the Alabasta soldiers and the rebels was going to heat up. It was going to intensify. So Luffy, he just wanted to kick Crocodile's ass. All right, he didn't want to get himself involved in the country's war. Now, the thing about Luffy is he knew that if Luffy wanted to get himself involved in that war, he could have, but he wouldn't have done nothing. The Straw Hat crew they're pirates. They're pirates. They're already seen. They're looked upon by society as rebels, outlaws. So even if they're trying to do the right thing, that's not going to happen. At least not in this, not in the current situation the world government has the world under with all these laws, and this whole theme of justice thing. And man, see, I can't go talking on for too long. This is what happens when I keep talking on for too long. I start to, slur my words. I start to forget things. So that's why I have this. That's why I have this. That's why I have these notes. Like I said, the whole Alabasta rebellion thing. Luffy was reflecting on that right there. He reflected on the situation, and he told Vivi that it's impossible for them to save everybody in the country because people are going to die regardless or not they try and get to the rebellion hideout. What else is there? The whole thing with the Going Merry. The ship was doomed. I mean, the ship was in bad condition. Kaku told them that they needed to get a new ship. And Luffy, after a long reflection, he had to make a tough decision, and he had to come up with the situation where they had to get a new ship. Now there was a tough decision, and that went into the whole Luffy versus Usopp situation, which is probably really great characterization right there. I know I'm talking about Luffy, but I just want to say Usopp is probably the most developed character on that ship. I mean, the fact that he starts out as a complete and utter coward, and you see him slowly evolve. You know, he starts to shed off his cowardice. And he starts to, have more faith in himself. You start to see that throughout the series, and that's really good with Usopp right there. And the whole Luffy versus Usopp fight, that was a tough decision Luffy had to make right there. That was a really tough decision, and he reflected on that situation right there. And that's just a couple of things right there. Now, this doesn't happen a lot, so I understand why you may have forgotten it, but, to say that Luffy does not, he doesn't reflect on his actions, it's just, it happens, What else? He's always on the morally right side of the conflict. That, I agree with that right there. Luffy is always on the morally right side of the conflict. In fact, I don't think there was a single situation where Luffy was on the morally bad side of conflict. I don't think there was. Although when you think about the world government kind of, they kind of control what is right and what is wrong. So from us, the reader standpoint, the Straw Hat Pirates, they're the good guys. But to the rest of society and the world, they're evil, bloodthirsty pirates that need to be, in prison, executed. So that's pretty much like, the stigma that society has given them. But that's just a little something I went off with. So I agree that Luffy is always on the morally right side of conflict. What time am I at? Oh shit, 12 minutes. Gotta wrap this up. The whole Nakama bullshit. Yeah, that happens. The Nakama bullshit. Well, it's not like, it is kind of a big theme, but it doesn't really, have, a big problem with the series. But the whole Nakama bullshit, yeah, I will agree with you right there. That whole Nakama bullshit kind of, influences the way Luffy reacts. In fact, when you keep reading on, once you get to, a certain point in a series, I'm not going to spoil anything, but after something happens, we get this little thing happens, and we learn why Luffy is so, connected to that Nakama bullshit. You'll understand why. And speaking of that, you said Luffy never had a backstory. He had a backstory. His backstory was in the first chapter of One Piece, or episode 4, if you're watching the anime. But that's not his full backstory. His full backstory comes much, much later, which is in volume 50, no, the end of volume 59, 60. So yeah, you're gonna see his full backstory later. So you haven't gotten his full backstory. Luffy and the world government. Now the world government, Luffy knows about the world government, but the thing is, he doesn't want to get involved with that. That's not his job. He's solely focused on becoming Pirate King. While he could go off, and try to stop the world government, that's not going to do anything. That's just going to cause more problems. It's just going to make things more tougher. There's already other organizations taking care of that, like Dragon. The Revolutionary Army they're really, going straight for the world government. So they're already taking care of that at the moment. What else is there? You mentioned about how difference between a quality story and an enjoyable story. Now, I will admit that One Piece, it has quality in it. It is a quality story. It has some quality in it, and it's also enjoyable too, to a point. I mean, because most of the characters are not two-dimensional. In fact, there's a good number of characters that are really fleshed out in One Piece. Really fleshed out. Usopp, Zoro, Robin, Brooks, Sanji. Sanji, he's a little bit fleshed out, but yeah. And I'm running out of time now, so I'm just going to wrap this up real fast. So, UberHikari, awesome video. If you want to, leave a comment, do so, and yeah. So, yeah, guys, check out UberHikari's video, and I'll catch you guys later. This is Master King JC. Keep on keeping on, and I will see you guys later. Peace.